you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I am Ashley. I'm a homeschooling mom with 8 kiddos. Our youngest is almost 2 months now, and our oldest is 14. So I get asked very frequently from people I know, but then also people that don't know me, how I juggle having 8 kids and still homeschooling the majority of them. The first thing that probably I say is, first of all, I get to do this. It is not something I'm forced to do. I get to do this. I get to homeschool my kids. And as long as everybody's happy, everybody's content, and I'm somewhat okay, then we're good. I am constantly, and this goes for not even just homeschooling, this goes for all day, every day. I am constantly doing a juggling act with kids, and that is especially for homeschooling. I have 2 kids that are primarily independent when it comes to school. However, they do need my help at some time. My oldest needs my help because he's doing online classes, a couple of online classes, and so he needs my help doing stuff, or he needs my help navigating things. My second oldest needs help when I have to check things, or if she doesn't understand something. But my younger kids are the ones that need me pretty much the majority of the time. So I am just constantly doing a juggling act. I do not have a set schedule. We get up, between 8 and 8:30, they eat, and by about 9:15, we're ready to, do school stuff. I have found that I just have to kind of see what takes priority that morning. So, if I know that one of my kids is struggling in reading, I need to do that first. I need to get that out of the way and make sure that that is done and nothing else comes between that. I kind of prioritize that way. So when I have the three that I'm homeschooling that need my attention all the time are my 3rd grader, my 2nd grader, my kindergartner. Now, my next 2 younger ones, who are 3 and 4, they have workbooks, and my 3-year-old will constantly be like screaming in my face because he wants me to do his stuff all the time, or help him with his stuff. And I have to kind of say, hold on, I got to work with, one of the other kids first. That is probably my hardest thing, is dealing with the youngest ones that aren't technically in school, but have little workbooks. And so they think they're doing a lot of school, which they're doing stuff to make them, to help them learn, but it's not, necessary. So a constant juggling act. My main thing for my youngest kids is keeping them occupied. Everything can be a learning experience. Play-Doh can be learning. Coloring can be learning. Any of those things. Matching is learning. Shapes is learning. Tracing is learning. And so I try to get workbooks for my youngest kids that they can do independently once I tell them what to do. Now, they might not want to do it, but at least I've given them that option that this is what you can do right now, or you can wait for me. I do a lot of sticker books for my youngest kids. So keeping them occupied is a priority for me. Whether or not that means they are making a mess, I don't care at that point. I don't care if there's Play-Doh on the floor. I don't care if there's a marker on the table. I just need them to be occupied enough to let me work and finish with my other kids. Now, with that in mind, this is where the more simple lessons come into play that I enjoy. The more simple curriculum. So the master books that I've talked about that my elementary kids are using is great because I can do it and get it done with, and it does not take me an hour. Whereas sometimes in The Good and the Beautiful math, for example, it was taking so long. And so having a curriculum for my kids that need me the majority of the time that is quick but gets to the point is ideal. So keep that in mind if you have a bunch of kids The simpler the curriculum, the better. Unless you want to homeschool all day and do all of the games and all of the activities and all of the things, then that's fine. I just can't do that. So keep that in mind. Giving myself grace, because I know that every day is going to be different. Every day is going to be different. I have kids that will have meltdowns one day and be great the next, and then they switch. And then the ones that were great the day before have meltdowns. And then it's just a constant juggling act. No one day, no 2 days are the same by any means. They are always different. Now, I try and keep kind of a flow where, okay, if I'm doing language arts with one, then my other two know that, okay, I better do handwriting right now because that's something that I can do on my own. They are aware of that. Or if they bring me their math, okay, let me show you what to do, and then you go on the other couch and do that yourself. So getting them started, but then teaching them to work independently on their own helps me a ton. Brings me to my next point. We used to go upstairs and homeschool up there. My older kids will do that. My younger kids, we are staying downstairs. And the main reason for that is because upstairs there's toys and distractions, and they want to play with anything and everything except and do everything but their school. And so I'm like, no, you can't do that. Can't do that. You have to stay focused. And I find that being downstairs, though it may be not as, I don't want to say strict, but not as orderly, it helps me a ton because I have the baby down there. I can lay on the couch. He's napping on me and I'm helping somebody. Or I'm feeding him and I'm helping somebody. So we have kind of switched to being on the couch downstairs for school. And that has seemed to work fairly well so far. So doing everything downstairs has just become a little bit easier for me. And they seem to be a little bit more focused than they used to when we were upstairs. Now that might change as the baby gets older and I don't have to worry about, him napping and things like that. But for right now, I find that has kind of been a little bit of a game changer with trying to keep them focused and keeping them just on track with what they need to do. And okay, when you're done with this, then you can go upstairs and play, or you can, whatever. It's kind of, not everything's upstairs. You don't have your play area and your schoolwork all up there all at one time. It just kind of divides and separates things, so it makes it just a little bit easier. And then finally getting started, like I mentioned, right after breakfast. Last year, I would say we were a little bit more lackadaisical, and especially because our schedule during the week was kind of more filled up. And so starting right after breakfast and making sure that everybody, okay, let's get dressed, let's finish, get dressed, eat breakfast, finish what we're doing, and then go straight to school helps a lot because it just goes, we don't even have time. We don't go upstairs, they get their clothes, they can change, and then they come downstairs and then they start. And so my younger kids will be done obviously by lunch. My older kids, like I've mentioned in another video, it's been taking them a little bit longer, but that's fine. My oldest will kind of decide what he wants to start working on first. I let him decide that. I give him a little bit more reign and freedom for how he wants to do his day. So I don't say, let's do this first or this first. Or he will ask me sometimes, what should I do first? And that, I want him to be more independent in that regard. So that helps a lot and helps him with his time management. So my older kids, really, how I juggle these things and how I homeschool all these kids, it's just a matter of my older kids knowing what they are responsible for doing, and making sure that they know what they are supposed to be doing, getting it done, and come to me when they need help or when they need something checked. And my younger kids, it's more just independent work versus me having to help them, and knowing what needs to be done and where, and keeping my little ones occupied. I will say this makes my days go by very fast, which is kind of sad, but they go by very, very fast, because by the time I realize that it's lunchtime. But it's really, it is not for everyone. I will say that, because there are plenty of times where I've had to stop, where I've had maybe my 3 and 4-year-old screaming in my face. And then I've had another kid whose attitude is through the roof. And then at the same time, I'm trying to teach this one. There are many of times where I could easily lose my cool. But I have to stop and let myself remember why I'm doing it, and that I love to do this, and this is what I am called to do and what I enjoy doing. You have to kind of constantly remind yourself that. And if you feel like your temper's starting to come up, or you are starting to feel overwhelmed, go in the bathroom for a minute. Go in the bathroom for a minute, and just give yourself a breather. Or, another thing is that if you are feeling overwhelmed, it's not going to be the end of the world if you let your younger kids have a day off once in a while. My older kids, like I said, it's up to them. They know their responsibilities. They know what they're supposed to be doing, and they don't want to be behind. My younger kids, if you miss a day, I try and do, because a lot of the lessons are so short, I try and do multiple lessons in one day if I can. And that helps a lot, because then I know that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. If my younger kids, if I need to clean, or if I need to do something that otherwise my younger kids would need my help for school, I can take a day off and I can do that, what I need to get done, and be okay with it, because I try and double up on lessons when I can. If it's easy and I can go to the next lesson, I do it. And they don't even realize it. They don't even realize they're doing 2 lessons. So yes, some days it is difficult, and some days it is a challenge, but it is not something that I ever say I can't do this anymore, because it as your kids get older, it gets easier. So it's really just managing those little kids, and keeping them occupied is key, and keeping them entertained is key. And so as long as you have some busy things for them to do, you're all set. So let me know if you have any other questions about homeschooling all these kids, or homeschooling all these different grade levels. I'm trying to do a lot of high school videos recently, because that's kind of the season that I'm in for my oldest, and really focusing on that. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions down below, guys, and I will see you next time. Take care.